Hey friends! Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community that is all about doing the inner work to live an aligned and, dare I say, happy life. I'm your host, spiritual guide and intuitive, Angell Kelly, and I'm here to share my teachings along with messages passed on to me from higher consciousness. I've also got incredible guests in store to help you go down all those spiritual rabbit holes. So let's go! Welcome to the club! Welcome back, Spirit Club, and welcome to our first live in-person episode. And of course, because he's your favorite and mine, I've brought back my brother, Ben Pearce. Welcome,
hey, everyone. Thank you for having me again.
Thanks for bumbling through these first. Ben was my first guest ever, and now he's my first live guest. So that's what you do. You do it as siblings.
Yeah.
We are in Lafayette, Indiana. Anyone know where that is?
Home of Purdue University.
Oh, yeah. Currently at Purdue University. It's very beautiful. Yeah. So if anyone's listening from Purdue, make sure to drop a note in the comments because we'd love to have you as a listener. And Ben is a professor here in your department.
Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences.
Yeah.
Space.
Smart
Aliens.
Guy. Smart guy. You guys love space. You love aliens to some extent. So.
Yeah.
So we've had Ben on already, but I think it's fun with returning guests to just ask some of my same icebreaker questions because maybe they didn't watch your first episode. Mm-hmm. And also I think, a lot of change has happened since we recorded. So True. Your answers may have changed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're doing this on the fly, no preparation.
Yeah. I didn't prep because I think that's more fun. Okay, so first question, and you probably don't remember the answer, but don't worry, I'll help you, is let Spirit Club know your sun, moon, and rising signs in astrology. Let's see what you remember.
Cancer sun, Leo rising, mm-hmm. Virgo moon? No.
Close. Aries,
right.
Aries moon, yes.
I remember because we saw those rams when we were in that national park near Vegas. You were saying like, oh, look at the rams. And then we fed them water. We didn't feed them water, but we turned on water for them. They're very thirsty. Yeah,
I think they were there to see Ben because he was learning about his Aries moon, the ram. Okay, so what do I want to tell people about your signs? So you all know that I collect Cancers. I'm a Cancer rising. Ben's a Cancer sun. And Ben and I have had many lifetimes together, which is why we do so well as best friends and siblings in this lifetime. But I think today I want to highlight your Leo rising because I said it to you earlier today and he was like, I don't know what that means. And it was because my mom said something like, you're a star, you're going to be a star. And he said, I am a star. And I was like, yeah, Leo rising.
So you're like, you would say that, Leo. And I'm like, I don't know.
If you say so.
If you say so.
Yeah. So, and because Leos generally like to be in the light. They're ruled by the sun. So it shines the brightest. Leos are often like entertainers. They're often on film, on camera, on all that's in the spotlight sort of thing. So I feel like it took you a while to get to that place to really step into your Leo rising. But I feel like in the last maybe 5 years, the first thing that comes to me is when you started showing your progress around yoga handstands.
Yeah.
And then it kind of took off from there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about being on camera, being in the light now?
Yeah, I think I did a lot of training and as a grad student doing planetarium shows. So I got used to presenting multiple times a week, giving shows to the public. And every time I had to give a show, my anxiety would be crazy. Just I would dread these shows. And then after I did them, I felt this amazing high after that was oh, that went so well. That was so amazing. So I did them, I enjoyed them. I just didn't enjoy the dread that came before them.
Right.
And now I feel like that dread's gone mostly. Like, I don't really have anxiety talking in front of large groups or being on camera anymore. And I think that that's probably due to practice, but probably more due to the self-work that I've done, self-worth work that I've done. Because I think that probably why I was so anxious was in the past was because I didn't feel like I deserved like the spotlight, or I didn't feel like that anyone would want to come hear me talk about the planets, in space and stuff like that. And I was just doing it as this way to like get out of my shell. But now I know that I have value and I have knowledge that I can share, and I'm happy to share it. So.
And we're happy to have you share. Yes. I'll put Ben's Instagram account in the links, but he's got a lot of inspiring, lifting content. You guys got to check out. Okay, so we got your astrology. Second question is more about influential teachers, mentors, coaches. And you would have mentioned many of them on our first episode. So today, are there any that are like inspiring you lately? Anyone that you're learning from lately?
I think my students, actually. So I have 4 grad students in my lab, and we just started this past summer, 2024, and the past 5 months working with them has been really inspiring. Just watching them grow, watching how hard they're working, watching how thoughtful of individuals they are, how thoughtful they are about their journey, and also how thoughtful they are about me as well, and the contributions I'm giving to them, and the mentorship that I'm giving to them. I feel like they're well ahead of me. When I was a grad student, I was kind of closed off in my own little world, and I didn't really consider my advisor even to be like another person who had, trials and tribulations that he was going through. So my students recognize everything I'm doing, and I'm like, wow, like you guys are really great. Like, I feel good working with them. I feel inspired to continue to support them and support others. And I think it's just like, yeah, they're pretty incredible people. So they'd be the first people I think of.
That's such a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know them, haven't met them. I would love to meet them one day, but I feel like I know them because Ben shares a lot of his experiences with his grad students with me. And yeah, they seem like head and shoulders above where I also was around that age. And
a lot of them do self-work. Like, a lot of them do inner work. They journal, they have meditation practices. I'm like, I was a completely different grad student than I am a professor. I'm like, wow, like if I was doing that, I would have come out, with a lot less anxiety, a lot less burnout, and a lot more, just a lot more satisfaction, I think.
Mm-hmm. And confidence.
Yeah, and confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a really hopeful. I mean, this is one group of 4 students, but I feel like I'm hearing it more and more that the generations that are coming in are just a little more self-awareness, working on yourself, therapy, things like that aren't taboo or weak.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting ahead of it, which is really hopeful for the world, really.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Third question, what is it? Oh, I skipped one, and that is morning routine. Because I know Ben's moved. I think he had just moved when we recorded our last episode, but he hadn't started working and all that sort of thing. So what's the morning routine like now?
It's mostly the same. Wake up at usually around 4:30. Gym opens at 5, and I'm one of the first people there. And I lift for about an hour 15. The reason I go so early is because I like I like to take my time in the morning and just ease myself into the workday. I don't like just to get started working right away. So when I get home at like 6:30 or so, I make my coffee, I sit in bed, I relax, I'll answer some voice notes, or I'll read the news, or see how my Instagram reels are doing. And play my Wordle games, like the New York Times games. Those are really an important part of my morning. And then I make my protein smoothie and get ready for work. And then I'm at work by 8:30. And then I do my work day, which is usually something like 7.5 to 8 hours. I don't typically work more than 8 hours. It would be very rare. And it would be a result of me losing track of time because I'm very intentional about not overworking myself. And then when I get home, I'll do my meditation before bed. So that's probably the main change, is that meditation is no longer in the morning. I like doing it in the evening now.
Right, right. And I will attest, he's got a meditation chair that is very comfortable.
Yeah.
Very. I don't know how you don't fall asleep in it.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I like the idea of still making a morning slow, even though it's early. Like, I think for most people, they would say, oh, okay, slow morning means I start my day late.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still have a slow morning if you get up earlier.
It's true, yeah. And super peaceful, super quiet, and I just creates a very stress-free way to start the day.
True. Yeah. I started, by Ben's advice, I started getting up early to work on the podcast before my day job, and so that has me up at 5 and doing my meditations and all that sort of stuff before my work day. And I agree, like it makes me have a slow morning, and the world is asleep still. So like, generally the rigs aren't reaching out to me, people at work aren't reaching out to me, so it's like still everybody thinks you're sleeping.
Your phone's not going off the hook. Yeah, that's the major thing. Yeah.
It's like a secret slot of time.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, now we do the like manifesting magic part of the episode, and it's such a great time to ask this question because winter solstice was, at time of recording, last night, which is the longest night of the year, which I think is such a good time for reflection. And so I'm not giving you a lot of time to reflect, but in this moment, what is something that you would like to let go of?
The first thing that came to mind is I want to let go of my limiting beliefs surrounding money. I'm starting to invest. I'm starting to like try and educate myself about finances. And I'm very green. I'm very new at this, so I haven't I don't really know how to invest. I'm just investing based on my employer right now and what they contribute. But I had past beliefs about people having money being somehow bad, and people that don't have money being good, and this sort of contrast. Like I couldn't see rich people as being good people, and I think it was a source of envy. I saw people who had things, and I was like, well, I can't have those, and they're just. But I kind of justified my living without money as being like, well, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I'll treat my friends. I'll give money away. And I won't keep any for myself. And that's a good thing to do. But I realize now that you can do so much more for the world if you have money than if you don't. You can donate if you want to the right charities, the right organizations. You can help people. I'm realizing now that I'm in a sort of a position of power in academia, I can do a lot more good for students and people in my field than I could if I didn't have that power. And money is power. Money is the same sort of thing. If you have more money, you can have more influence. You can guide things and direct things in a better way. So.
And I would add that you can also create, because it's very difficult to create from a place of fear and scarcity. Mm-hmm. And when you have money, you're like more liberated.
Yeah.
And by creating, like, we make more change.
Yeah, that's true. If you're not worried about paying your bills, if you're not worried about buying groceries, if you're always in a place where you have abundance, then I think that's a powerful place to create from. I agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, like, through readings and through talking to my friends in the spiritual space, money is coming up a lot right now. Limiting beliefs around money to the point where, like, I feel like I need to put together a quick program to just, like, it's time for us to obliterate these money beliefs.
Yeah.
It's time to move on because we all need to, like, be in our light and be creating and having all of our power in order to change ourselves and change the world.
Another thing is that I think that because of these limiting beliefs, I've avoided educating myself. Like I've noticed, like when people talk about finances in my presence, I would go to a different conversation. You know, I'd be like, I don't want to la 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 la. I can't hear about cryptocurrency.
I can't do anything about this. I can't contribute.
Yeah. When it's just like I'm just avoiding educating myself so that I can make more money.
Yeah, right.
And invest smarter. So yeah, that's the thing about the limiting beliefs is that I've noticed, and maybe this is actually universal, is like if you, in the past when I had limiting beliefs about being able to put on muscle, I wouldn't learn about proper lifting techniques. I wouldn't learn about how to eat more protein. You know, I would just ignore this stuff because I'm like, no, I don't believe it. It's not for me, you know? So it's just being open to being educated. That's what's getting over the belief. The limiting belief is like being open to learning.
Well, like it's like believing something's possible, right? And if we're not even going to hear it because we're like, not possible.
Yeah.
That does not fit with my belief pattern, so I'm going to put the blinders on.
Yeah.
Okay. Exciting. Okay. Money. All right. And last question is, what is something that you would like to call in right now?
I guess abundance in I don't want to go back to money, but
I know it's
but
okay.
also,
a lot of the time these things are the same.
Exactly. I would say I want to start living more abundantly. I want to call in more money. I want to be able to grow my life outside of work in a way that supports me into an early retirement, because I don't want to be that old academic who dies at their desk.
Ew. No.
I have a dream of, retiring by 60 and just traveling and climbing all over the world and backcountry hiking and just kind of seeing the beauty of the world. So a lot of the reason why I'm motivated to maintain my fitness and continue to build muscle is so that when I'm that age, I can be completely capable of climbing, traveling, hiking, doing anything that I want, and really enjoying my retirement. So in order to do that, I need to call in that abundance now and make some good investment decisions while I'm still young.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Calling in abundance. You heard it. You heard it, universe. All right. Let's get into the juice.
Okay.
So for those of you who listened to the last episode, we really focused on Ben's path around self-love. And today we're going to focus in on conscious dating. So, he really approached dating from an entirely new lens as he grew to love himself. And I think that there is a large group of individuals who are trying to approach dating from a new perspective, but it can be difficult knowing where to begin. So let's talk about it. I personally did not do conscious dating because when I met Shane, I was 30 and I really wasn't into this work then. So I'm learning a lot from these conversations too. Fortunately, it worked out for Shane and I. We healed things along the way, but if you can start it off right, that's brilliant. So first question would be, maybe you can explain to Spirit Club, how you used to approach dating and relationship, and then the new lens that you tried.
I think in the past, I would try to date the most externally beautiful person that I could find who seemed interested in me.
Okay.
So it was very dating from a place of what's the maximal potential I could get in terms of someone who will make me look really desirable and really valuable. I was kind of searching for a partner to sort of complete me and make me into someone who, looked like they had status maybe. And this is, of course, I'm kind of talking about my subconscious because I wasn't actively like aware.
Yeah.
But this is sort of post-reflections on when I chose people that I date. It was usually women who expressed interest in me, who I found attractive, and I would try to impress them, and I would very much chameleon myself into any form that would impress them and make them like me. So it's very a people-pleasy kind of dating strategy, I guess.
So it was really just, are they interested in me and are they attractive?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I didn't think about who would be a good match for me. So I didn't really, I think because I didn't know myself very well.
Right.
I didn't know what a good match for me would be.
Right.
I didn't know that it could be defined, actually. I thought that it had to be discovered, had to be trial and errored, and then one day you're just like, oh, this is the person.
Chance, almost.
I landed on them, yeah,
Right.
just by chance. So I wasn't thinking about like compatibility. I wasn't thinking about who is someone who has similar interests, that we could do these things together and that we both like to do them, so that it's not a big battle. In past relationships, I went through a lot of, okay, we'll do this for me, but then we got to do this for you. And then it was very much give and take in terms of like, there wasn't a lot of overlapping interests, because our relationship was simply based on mutual attraction, and not much else, that it kind of felt like just slogging through, just like making each other deals where we could where we could have moments of enjoyment, while the other person's sacrificing,
Right. Yeah. And
this sounds so bad, but
yeah, and I mean, I think also culturally we're kind of taught that it's like relationship is sacrifice.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying there is no sacrifice, but it certainly doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you approach dating this time around? Right? How did it differ?
So this time it was, and I will say that in that past time, it was probably more of a scarcity type mindset. Like there are not enough people out there who will like me.
Mm-hmm.
So this woman likes me. I'm gonna put all my energy into this, no matter what. Whereas this time around, it was more from abundance. It was, and actually it was more, I would say, no longer worrying about being alone. So I made my complete peace with the fact that I actually could have a very good life single for my whole life. Like I'm very active. I do a lot of rock climbing. I have a lot of friends. I keep myself entertained. I like myself. I like hanging out with myself. Sometimes I'll crack jokes and laugh out loud pretty heartily by myself. And no one's there to hear them but me. And maybe
that one for later.
Maybe the ghosts in the room are getting a kick out of it. I don't know, but but anyway. I didn't worry about being alone, and that was a huge thing because that allowed me to be discerning. That allowed me to say no to a lot of women fast without worrying what they think about me, or
is this the last woman that will ever love me?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. So I was able to pay attention to the energy they were giving, which is a good signal that things are going to work out well, as if there's from the beginning like a mutual energy exchange that's positive, and provides me with energy, provides them with energy. There's with online dating, there's a lot of conversations that die down, and I just let them die. I think that past me probably would have especially if it was someone who I deemed like a high value woman. I'd be like, no, I got to impress her.
Right.
You know, I got to give her some, you know, advice about something she's going through, so that she finds value in me as a man, so that I can, so that I can date her. Whereas now I kind of approach conversations like, oh, you know, I'd love to get to know you, and then once I did, you know, if there was kind of no connection, I just let it die. And I will admit that, you know, in the first few weeks, or even a couple months, in this area, there's not like a huge population, so I went through my surrounding 30-mile radius pretty quickly,
right,
which was a little discouraging. So I had to kind of take some time away from it, not have it be a focus of my life, you know, rather just on the weekend I'll do some swiping, and then if there's a conversation, I'll keep up with it. But I didn't make it kind of a centerpiece of my life either. It was just like, this is a side project. I'm looking into dating.
Side project.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay.
And what I noticed was that there was a lot of women who I would have, past Ben would have tried very hard to impress, and would probably have managed to go out on dates with, but current Ben didn't waste his time. Like I did the vetting by talking to them, found that there was low connection, and I just didn't, you know, either they weren't trying very hard to keep their conversation going, or I noticed I wasn't. And I was like, oh, that clearly I'm not very interested. So it's also like really reflecting on whether you really like them. And you know, a lot of these women are very attractive, so you're like, is this, you know, are you wanting to talk to them just because they're attractive, or do you actually see some connection here beyond that aspect? So
right. And did you go into it with like, I don't want to use the word list, but like with like an idea of what you were looking for foundationally,
yes,
so that you could kind of like look at that as a criteria?
Yeah. So a big thing was, I really like the outdoors. I like rock climbing, I like backcountry hiking, and I don't want to sacrifice those things, and I would never, but I also want to share them with a partner. That was a main thing. So, you know, I don't want to go off on my own and just always do these things alone. If I'm gonna date someone and find a life partner, I knew I wanted it to be with someone who I could do that with. And you know, me and Angela was going backcountry hikes every year, and we had talked about bringing partners on, and I mean, that sounds like an amazing idea and would be a lot of fun. So that was something I was looking for. So often I would swipe on women who had pictures of them hiking, and that was a big kind of like qualifier for me, is if they had that interest. And if there was no interest in like nature, the outdoors in their profile, I just left swiped. You know, it didn't really matter if I found them attractive or not. I knew that compatibility was more important than anything else. So.
And because I know people are going to be wondering this, like, how did you land on what was, you know, truly important? Because I think a lot of the time people can, you know, they have a huge list and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or they have a list and then they date and they're like, no, it's not that important. So it's like, how'd you come to an understanding of what was really important to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's just the work I did to know myself and my interests. Like, I have done backcountry hiking, for instance. I've done it alone. I've done it with Angel. I've done it with friends. This is something that's a big part of my life that I enjoy, and I know that to be true. You know, it's not one of the interests that's fleeting. I have a tattoo on my thigh of a backcountry hiker in the mountains.
He's committed.
It took 6 sessions at 4 hours per session. That's a lot of pain to go through if you don't have conviction.
Right. So
I, either I find a partner who's not going to do this stuff with me, or I find someone who will. And so I knew that would be an important one. How I got to knowing that was like how I got to knowing about myself. That is from being alone, honestly. From doing these things alone. If you're not willing to do the thing that you love alone, like, how much do you really love it? Like, honestly, if you have to have a friend there with you, gotta ask yourself that.
And I think just spending time alone with oneself is how we start to know ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, doing work around loving ourselves is obviously going to require knowing ourselves.
I took 2 years off dating. I intentionally probably took off one of those years, and then for the other year I was kind of interested, or maybe even just 6 months before I moved here, I was interested in dating, but didn't want to have to find someone and then move states. So I just kept it going. But certainly in the 2 years that I took off dating, I focused on myself, on my growing my self-worth, and building muscle in the gym, and learning about myself. And that's where I learned what was important for me in looking for a partner. From that time.
And did you struggle at all? Because you shared that you were a relationship chameleon prior, and recovering people pleaser and all that sort of stuff. So did you struggle at all in dating with being like, with this thing that we sometimes do where we like convince ourselves that someone is a good choice?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they just show me they're not into the outdoors, but
Yes.
like that feeling.
Oh my God. Yeah. So many temptations like that. And like, I recall even, this woman who was really into like inner work and like manifestation and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I don't, I'm into this stuff. At least I certainly dabble. But the conversation just kept dying, and it was just, it just wasn't, there wasn't the back and forth that was needed for longevity. So I let that one die. I pitched your podcast to her, and then
Thank you.
And she said, yeah, that does seem like something I'd be interested in. And then
you're like, well, did you listen?
Yeah.
Prove it. Yeah. Okay.
But there was moments in there that I was like convincing myself, like, no, like I would, like, one of my things was I would love if someone did some inner work. So I was like, oh, well, I kind of want to try harder on this, but I did have to fight with myself and be like, no, like, remember, you don't need to find a partner. Like, if this isn't looking like it's naturally connecting, then let it die.
Right. So it's kind of always coming back to the abundance mindset of, like, I don't have to take what's not for me because that's all there is.
Yeah. Yep.
And if I'm going to spend life with myself, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, for all you listening, that doesn't mean that you're going to spend life by yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's what you're thinking, but it is the mindset of, like, being okay, not needing. We've talked about this a lot on Spirit Club. When you are attached to an outcome, desperately attached, and all of your happiness depends on it, that is where you will be tested.
Yeah.
That is where you'll be tested.
And I think part of me too was like, I could just go on a date with them, right?
Right.
What would a date hurt? Just one date.
Yeah.
But I was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, no, that's energy that I'm putting towards someone who's not giving me any energy back. Like, that's energy that I could be putting towards finding the actual person who will give me the energy, that I deserve in a relationship. So, like, and it's like, let's say you go on a date on a Friday night. You're really going to give a Friday night away to someone who you're not even excited about?
Right.
Like,
yeah. And time these days, is valuable. So valuable. Okay. So we shifted. Okay. I know something that you kind of like, I would say, like, researched and thought consciously about was creating your online profile. Mm. So I would love, like, share some tips, some things that you did that helped you to, meet the right people.
Yeah. So I mentioned that for about 6 months or so, I was interested in dating, but I was still in Baltimore, and I didn't want to start dating and have to move. So I just researched, did some research,
Classic academic.
listened to dating podcasts. Dating intentionally is a really good one, just to plug someone else's podcast. And something that came up a lot was how to have profile photos that doesn't immediately get you a left swipe. And it's the funny thing is that it should be obvious, but I did these things, like taking selfies in the mirror, at the gym, you like, now I'm like, okay, I understand why this isn't exactly a obvious right swipe type photo, but it was nice to get that feedback and to realize, like, okay, your profile is really, you're trying to represent yourself in a way that is just your best self, like you're not trying to trick anyone, you just want to show the things that kind of provide evidence that you are who you say you are. So, if I say I like backcountry hiking, there better be a photo of me backcountry hiking in there,
Right.
like if I say I like climbing, throw a climbing photo in there. So it's kind of just the pieces of evidence that I am who I say I am. And, just avoiding the easy left swipes, like the shirtless selfies and selfies in general, if you can avoid them.
It's hard though, like as a man. I know
Yep.
when we were backcountry hiking, he was like, oh, maybe you could get a photo
Yeah.
of me, because it's so hard to,
Yeah.
when dudes hang out together, they're not like, hey, take
Bro,
pictures.
take this
Whereas-
photo for my dating profile.
Yeah, whereas girls are like, take a pic, this is cute. Oh my gosh, you look great there, So it's tough.
Yeah.
And I want to share, I'm going to try to find her information, but I met a photographer recently. Her name is Rosie, and she was saying that she developed a social media package. No, sorry, not social media, online dating profile package. And that she mostly got men who booked it, and it was just like getting them some photos for their dating profile.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
again,
that's
so
great.
popular because it's just harder for dudes to not just have a fishing photo
Yeah.
and a bros photo with sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's good to be subtle. Like it, if you want to show off that you have a little muscle, that's fine, but it's good to be subtle about it. You can look muscular in a shirt at a certain angle. You don't need to go tops off.
Right. Tips.
Because the thing is that if you do take your shirt off, the attention you're going to get is going to be a lot of women who kind of find you attractive and really just want that out of you. They want sex.
Piece of meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, if like me, who was looking for a long-term partner, it's just sending out the wrong message.
Right.
So.
Right, and same would go for females. Like if you're putting up super sexy photos, then you are going to get a certain kind of attention. Is that what you want? I mean, that's a question to ask. Is that what you want? If it is, cool. But okay, so that's photos. What are some other things around setting up your profile that you would recommend?
Focusing on the things that you want to have in common with people, like the hobbies that you have that you want to share with them, like climbing and stuff like that. Making sure that you have kind of funny prompts is always good to show if you have a little humor in your life. I had a dad joke in my profile. It was my plumber called me up the other day, or I called my plumber up the other day, and I said I got a leak in the sink, and my plumber responded, "Go ahead, I won't tell."
Okay. Yeah, says a lot. You know what I mean? Where's Shane when you need him? Okay, love it. Yeah.
Yeah. If nothing else, it'll get a laugh, or not, and
Yeah.
I think it's good to like, show that you have some side of you that's silly, if that's what kind of person you are. Because someone who that's a green flag for will swipe right on you, and someone who's like that really turns them off, good. Like, you want these things in your profile that give people a chance to swipe left because they're red flags for them.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to highlight a
Yeah.
little more. Maybe you could highlight a little more about like how to make your own profile, like put some polarity into it, so that
that's
people that are not right for you are.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Yeah. So, for me, I'm an early riser and I like to exercise. So, I mentioned that kind of stuff. My ideal Friday would be, or my ideal weekend would be to wake up early and go to the gym, have some coffee after, go for a hike. And it's just like being very obvious about that exercise is a very important part of my life. And if someone's like, ew, this guy's works out too much, it's like, good. I want you to swipe left so that this isn't something that we waste our time with.
Right.
I would love to meet someone who's as active as me, so that we could share all these things together. I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah. There's a secret coming. Yeah, well, and I see, through my friends, I hear a lot of people doing it in the way of like stuff around kids. Like, some men will hide it, hide the fact that they have children. And then the woman finds out, a couple dates in or something like that. And it might be like a hard line for her.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, why did we waste time? Like,
Yeah.
First of all, why did he hide that?
Yeah.
He hid that because he thinks he's not going to get dates because he has children.
Yeah.
But it's like, wouldn't you want someone to choose you who is like excited about the fact that you have children?
Yeah.
Those people exist.
Yeah.
And then also the other way around. If you're a woman who's like, or man who's like, no thank you on the children, and that is a, what's that called? Hard stop for you? I can't remember the word.
Deal breaker.
Deal breaker.
Yeah.
Then, your deal breaker should probably be in there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like judgmental and aggressive, but if it's in there, then you're going to get more of the right people.
Yeah. If you're hiding what you think other people find unappealing about yourself, then who you're going to find is someone who doesn't like you for you. That's all you're going to find.
That was a very powerful drop.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of time, and
Yeah.
it actually just ends up being like a struggle down the road, because you're going to be like, oh, but I like him, but he has kids, or whatever it happens to be. Or, if you were someone who lied to yourself, you'd be like, oh, I don't need her to be active. And then 3 months in, you're like, this sucks. I can't do anything with this girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time that we share the punchline. So, Ben, Tell Spirit Club, have you met anyone since you've been consciously dating?
Actually, I have.
Yay! I know so many of my friends ask. All my friends all listen to Spirit Club.
Her name is Lauren, and she is lovely. She's the sweetest, kindest girl in the world. She's very active. Every single date that we have, we're doing something active, whether it's climbing, doing yoga, going on hikes. We went on our first trip together to Smoky Mountain National Park, and we did day hikes every day, spend the evenings in the hot tub, cooking food and playing games, and she's so much fun. We have the greatest time together. It's so easy to be around her, and it's very different from my past relationships in that aspect, in that I feel very much energized by her. My nervous system is very calm. I'm very much at peace around her. I also I crave her being around me, being nearby. I love checking in with her. She lives about an hour away from me, so we don't see each other too many times a week, probably like twice a week. But we're talking all the other days, and it's going really great. I'm really happy.
I'm sure everyone's happy to hear. We're all very happy for you. And I got the pleasure of meeting her. Hi, Lauren, if you're listening. And she's very lovely. And I don't want to like invade on you and Lauren's privacy too much. So I'll just ask one question around your relationship. And that is, this will be the first relationship where you've, done so much personal work behind it. And so if you have any examples of where you've been challenged to show up in a new way, like maybe you felt the old way kind of pulling at you like gravity, but you were like, no, I show up now with self-respect and self-love.
Yeah. I think one of the big differences in this relationship from my past is that I lead a lot in this relationship. Like I'm very much in my masculine. I'm planning a lot of dates. I'm planning trips. Like I'm planning what we're gonna eat. I'm cooking. I'm making decisions in the relationship. Lauren certainly makes decisions too, and we happen to like a lot of the same things. But she has a good opportunity to be in her feminine a lot, and I think that dynamic is really, really different than my past relationships and really good. I certainly feel really good about it, and I think in the past, I think I was probably in my feminine more, just kind of letting them take the lead. I think a big part of it was that I realized that a lot of past relationships, we didn't like to do a lot of the same things. So I was like, I'm not gonna put time and energy into planning something they don't want to do. And I think that obviously leads to a lot of issues. So I'm showing up now in a way that's very, I'd say, calm masculine. Like I'm not a toxic masculine, but like whatever that means. If
So
that's
many
even a
words,
thing.
we don't know.
And I think that sometimes I think about it when we're together, and I'm like, oh, I probably would have just sat back here and let her direct us through this national park or something like that. But
And why would you have let that happen?
I think maybe it has to do with just lack of confidence in myself to handle these sorts of things, like in order to handle where are we getting our parking passes, like are we gonna check in on time, do we have to get food for dinner,
Right,
do we have to
then-
get some firewood.
Because if I am in charge of those things, then I'm responsible.
Yeah.
And then, if I don't do it right, I'll fail.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. So confidence, I mean, that's the big thing. Whereas I have tons of confidence now in my ability to navigate these things. I've been around long enough to know, and also I think a part of it is that I'm thinking in advance about these things. Like I don't just wing it. I want us to have a good time, so I'm gonna plan a little bit, and I'm also not like as bad work-life balance as I was in the past, where I was so focused on work that I didn't have time to plan or invest in my relationships. So now I have energy, time to put into my relationships, and I do. So
Yeah. And I think for any men that are listening, I think this dynamic is like wanting to shift universally. And a lot of men may be in relationships where they're kind of in the back seat. I'm just thinking about my friend groups and things like that. And I think that it's probably easier when you step into something new to assume that new role, but it's not impossible to do it in a relationship. And I think the other part that you need as a man to be able to step in and lead is you need a woman who will let you lead.
yeah.
Because I know that there are a lot of women very strong in their masculine, and it's really hard for them to release that control and let a man lead. And so it sounds like that's something that you found.
Yeah,
in this relationship.
absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know, I guess, what that takes. I guess maybe like a certain level of confidence in your man to be able to let them lead, or
trust
what do you
for
think?
sure. Yeah, I would say it takes trust. The same way that you need to trust the universe in order to surrender and let things happen.
Yeah.
You need to be able to trust your partner and surrender and let things happen. Yeah, it's something around control. It's like, I have to do it, otherwise it won't be done good enough. And maybe you also have to like release perfection.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women, it's like, the way I clean the house is the perfect way, or the way I care for my child or this pet is better.
Yeah.
And it's like, you may have to release that and allow it to be done a different way that you don't consider as good or perfect.
I'd say probably from the man's or the man's side of things, if they're presenting the energy that is, I'm willing to plan, I'm willing to work on this, and they show up in that way, then maybe that also gives the woman in the relationship the power to like release and like trust.
Right.
Because I can imagine that a lot of women who are really in their masculine and really planning stuff might be with someone who is not showing up in a way that's allowing them to.
Right.
So it kind of, there's a little bit on both sides.
Yeah. And
Like you could release your trust, and if they don't do anything, you
right. And it's like
nothing gets done.
Truly, I mean, if he is really in his masculine and wanting to lead, then he must take that first step and lead. Yeah. Okay.
So I think I certainly present that energy in my relationship, and that makes the dynamic work really well.
Yeah.
But I also really respect Lauren and her opinion, and I don't just plan things without talking about it with her and figuring things out together.
Right.
So
it's not just like
it's
dominance.
Exactly.
And I think that's
a collaboration. It's very much a collaboration.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't need to run every idea by her.
Right.
To like
trusts.
Exactly, because she trusts, and we, we're still early in our relationship, but it's going well as it is. So.
Yeah. I mean, in the areas that Shane leads, it's just so much fun. I love it. Like, small example that I always just laugh at. Let's say we're like in a new country. We were in Greece, and we're like walking around. He'll be navigating, and I'll just be like looking around, and he'll just like literally like move me.
Yeah.
Bump me here and there, and I'm like, oh, just enjoying, and he's just making sure we get there safe, and I love it. It's so fun. You really do feel in your feminine in those moments.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Okay, you guys may have noticed that the sun has set on this conversation, literally. So I think we're probably losing light. So I think we'll close out here. And I guess I just want to finish with, if there's one last message you would share with those who are single out there looking for love, what would you like to say?
I'd say, don't spend too much time looking for love. Spend it on yourself. Spend it taking care of yourself, trying to make yourself the best version of yourself that you can be, learning to fall in love with yourself, and have fun and be the person that you want to spend time with. And, invest a little bit of time into dating, but don't make it the priority in your life. Just invest a little bit of time into getting on the apps and making your profile and stuff like that, but focus more on yourself and getting to know yourself. Make sure you really have a good idea of who you are, so that you can show up as that person authentically, and that the person you're dating knows exactly who you are and can bring the energy that either connects or disconnects, and you can easily decide whether you want to proceed. That's what I'd say.
That's all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Love you too.
Bye, Spirit Club.
See you, everyone.
Next time.